To be honest with you, there's a lot of fake news. I sit on the board of Bank of Ghana. I am not aware of a proposal to the board to restore the license of any bank. Do you understand?
And these banks have not approached the Bank of Ghana?
You see, His Excellency's commitment was that banks that were unjustifiably taken. He didn't say he will restore licenses of banks. He said he will restore licenses of banks that were unjustifiably taken. That is a process that requires a judicial interpretation, a pronouncement from the court that an injustice has been done to a particular bank. In the absence of that pronouncement by a court, what is the basis for coming to the conclusion that the bank was unjustifiably taken? Are you getting the point? So it is not that His Excellency is reneging on that promise, but that promise has not become tenable yet. None of the banks that were collapsed have succeeded in the law court, proving to the court that their banks were unjustifiably taken, and for which reason they can now trigger a process of restoration of the license. I hope you understand me. But the important thing is that, did we need to collapse them? NIB was sitting on a hold of 2 billion Ghana cedis. But by dint of what we call regulatory forbearance, the central bank deciding to temper justice with mercy, that bank survived almost 8 years with such a huge deficit in their capital base. It took His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Ato Forson to turn NIB into one of the most capitalized banks, having already taken steps that has injected close to 2 billion into the bank. What it simply means is that some of them, if they were given the same treatment, would have survived. Is that not it? Yeah. So why was the rush? And I've heard people say, oh, the banks were not collapsed by the government. No central bank can collapse a financial institution that has an implication on the fiscal. It is the government that is going to pay for it without consulting the government. As a matter of fact, the Minister for Finance was required to present a case in cabinet for approval by the government to fund the collapse of the financial institutions. And Ken Ofrata did that. So if you were an undertaker that said, go and collapse them, I'll find money to pay, who collapsed them? So that's where we are. But the important thing is that the managers of this economy, and I have seen a lot of attempts to try and brand this government. It won't work. It won't work. I had a colleague of mine who's a lawyer sent me a video where they were saying that what do you call it? The Registrar General, has blocked a portal where you can go and find out the identities and the ownership of certain institutions that were contracted to do Big Push. Every lawyer knows that in this country, we have Right to Information Act.
Yeah.
Which is mandatory on every institution once you meet the requirement to provide the information. You don't seek information such as who owns a company on a portal. You do that by triggering a right information request. And they will be obliged to provide. Otherwise, they will suffer sanctions. And this is a lawyer. This is a lawyer. But you know what? It is not because he doesn't know. All they want to do is to pollute the unsuspecting public, to think that something untoward is happening. Right to the Registrar General. Look, you remember when they set up GATS and took some banks. I wrote to the Registrar General, even though they hid files. Once I made the request, they gave me all the information. That's how I got to know that Ghana Amalgamated Trust was owned by the National Trust Holding Company as a nominee shareholder, and that the initial shareholders include Charles Edubuain and Samson Akelko. Well, how did I know that? Did I go to their portal? How did I know that there was a bank in Ghana which was 99% owned by somebody with 1% owned by his wife? And yet that bank survived. And my own brother, Seidu Adongo, who owned only 70%, they said that he was overexposed to the bank. And that 70% created what we the lawyers call, they have some funny terms.